then who? And if not now, when? And I think that's really a question we can ask ourselves. If not us, who? And if not now, when? Now is the time. And guess what? There's, gosh, about 80 of us in this room. That's 80 students if we each grab one. And I think we each can grab one, and I challenge you all to. Job training and placement. We have our colleagues from My Brother's Workshop, and one of the famous lines from Homeboy Industries, nothing stops a bullet like a job. Balanced and restorative justice. So real juvenile justice reform, where the offender actually gets reformed, where the community stays safe, and where the offender can make restitution to the victims that they've hurt. There are some excellent models in New Jersey and Georgia, so I encourage those of you who are doing that work to reference those models. Committee work. Senator Francis, I don't know exactly what you have planned, but I'm hoping that out of this will come some committee, an active committee of stakeholders doing this work. And certainly VIUCEDD and the university wants to be a key partner in that work, and there's plenty of momentum even on the federal level. We can collaborate towards grants and really do something in a meaningful way about this. And again, we need to emulate national models, and we need to be accountable. This is not just going to be one of those things where we talk a lot, oh, that was a nice session, let's, pat ourselves on the back, and then we forget about it. We have to hold ourselves accountable, and we have to have outcomes that we can measure, and we have to continue to meet. School engagement. We have to keep kids engaged in school. We need amazing teachers and energetic teachers, and we have to keep school challenging while addressing these learning needs. All right, I'm actually going to skip this. All right, right now, I want to just give a little demonstration, because I am a teacher, of ways that we can have school engagement. I forgot to tell you that there's going to be a quiz. I need you to pull out your smartphones and go to the website kahoot.it. Everybody.
Dr. Mills.
Yep, we can have a little volume. Oh, 6 players, awesome. Can we have a little volume? Okay, perfect. Little quiz show. Okay, 15. People are joining in. This is great. Joining. Raise your hand if you need a little bit more time to join the game. All right? You need a little bit more time? Okay. Kahoot.it and put in the passcode. School engagement is critical. And as we break for lunch, I'm going to be sharing a video by Ron Clark, who's an awesome educator out of Atlanta that has sort of mastered keeping students engaged in school. Okay, 37 players. I think that's our lucky number. We are going to jump in and start. I'm just going to see if you've been paying attention during this presentation. Okay. 11 questions. School to prison pipeline quiz. Are you ready? We decided to make it easy first. First question is, what color is my suit? All right. Wait a minute. Who chose orange? Okay, so this is a great tool for educators to use. It's so much fun. Instead of telling our kids to sort of put away their technology, there are so many innovative ways for us to incorporate technology into the classroom. So this is just one quick example. And then we can sort of tell how the learning is going instantly. Okay. Oh, there's going to be a prize, by the way. Oh, Fernando. Wait. Scoreboard. Fernando, where's the points? Anyway. All right, next one. Which group of singers are part of the group New Edition? A is Michael, Tito, Jermaine, and Randy. Oh. Okay. Ronnie, Bobby, Ricky, and Mike. All right. Awesome. I see that not everybody is as skilled. Sorry. All right. Javon James in the lead with 817 points. Woohoo! The school to prison pipeline is a channel that sends oil from Canada to the United States, a degree for correction officers in training, a pathway to incarceration due to school failure, or a superhighway in California that leads to Alcatraz. I'm sorry for those of you that can't see. Oh, thank goodness. At least the majority of you got it right. Okay. All right. Oh, Bobby Brown took the lead. Okay. And you can anonymize this for your students so they don't have to be embarrassed. But success in life is a matter of having enough good luck, money, protective factors to outweigh the risk factors, or swag. Awesome. You guys are doing great. Wait. I gotta know. Which three thought that's swag? Which three thought that's swag? Okay. Oh, Bobby Brown retook the lead. Okay, the strongest protective factor we can offer a youth is a mentor, a job, an education, a dream. Awesome. Okay. Let's see who's it. Oh, Bobby Brown, still in the lead. In some states, up to what percent of the incarcerated adults are high school dropouts? 82%, 34%, 75%, 27%. Okay. It's okay. The majority of you guys got it right. 82% high school dropouts. Oh, Albie snuck in the lead. Bobby, you better work harder. Okay. Others bringing up the rear. Repertoire. Fernando and Javon James bringing up third, fourth, and fifth. Okay. If we want to present delinquency, we have to intervene prenatally, age 0 to 5, in middle and high school, or all of the above. Oh, see, you guys were good because I made that prenatal point. But what is the best answer? All of the above. What is the tallest mountain in the world? Totally unrelated. Mount Kilimanjaro, Mount Washington, Mount Everest, or Mount Fuji? Mount Everest. The majority of you guys got it right. Kilimanjaro is the tallest mountain in Africa, but Mount Everest is the tallest mountain in the world. Javon James. Wait a minute, where's Bobby Brown? He fell off the radar. Okay, we can detect problem behavior in children as young as 12 years old, 9 years old, 5 years old, or 3 years old. We can detect it earlier. Yep, good. Most of you guys got it right. 3 years old, but yes, we can detect it earlier. Sometimes 2 years old, sometimes 1. There's some interesting research coming out of Kennedy Krieger, which is even indicating 6 months based on motor skills, based on things the baby is able to do. Javon James. All right. How many court jurisdictions sought to replicate the EA initiative? 3, 2, 1, or none? Okay, 3 was the right answer. Wait a minute. Those of you who said none, 14 of you. This was my life's work. 3 court jurisdictions sought to replicate our program. Cook County Juvenile Court, the largest juvenile court in the United States, court in Savannah, Georgia, and then a court in Michigan. So 3 different court jurisdictions. Javon James. And what do you guys think of Kahoot? And in that sense, all the answers were right. All right, so that's going to wrap up our presentation. I know that there are probably many questions, and I don't know if now is the appropriate time. I know that lunch is here, but I certainly will be around for the rest of the morning. I'm going to turn this presentation back over to the Senator. Thank you so much for your time today. It was amazing to be here. Thank you for being an attentive audience and for allowing me to share this information.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mills, and next round of applause for Dr. Mills. And I'm sure that there will be loads of questions for you right after the lunch, but at this time, I just want to remind you before we break for lunch that there was some critical discussion here this morning, and my recollection, we talk about the narrowing of the pipeline that is critical. We talk about criminal justice reform. We talk about intervention. How do we intercede and what's going on at an early stage? We talk about alternative programs in terms of the court-sanctioned alternative programs. Certainly we heard about juvenile arrests and juvenile death. We talk about incarceration. We talk about poverty. The level of interaction between agencies, again, is something that I'm hoping that we could have some discussion on later on this afternoon and move towards the solution. At this time, I'd like to break for lunch, and the last 15 minutes of lunch, then we'll bring up Dr. John Smith, Reverend John Smith Jr., who will be the project director of My Brother's Workshop, and he'll give an overview of My Brother's Workshop and what they're doing in this community, and then we'll come back and engage our panelists and go from there. So happy lunch. Let's not lose the focus. Don't eat and run. I know how we do it around here. Don't eat and run. I think that the afternoon portion will be just as engaging as the morning portion. So at this time, we'll break for lunch.
Good afternoon. I first want to say thank you to Senator Francis and the other honorable elected officials, the community leaders, and all the stakeholders that are here today. Again, my name is John E. Smith, Jr., and yes, that is my real name, John Smith, Jr. I first want to acknowledge two young men that have come with me today, and they told me that I better acknowledge them. So Tyler and King, and they are two young men that are in our program. And I want to let you know that one thing that was important to me is that I didn't have to ask them or force them to come. They wanted to be here. And again, as Senator Francis introduced me, I am John Smith, Jr. I am the program director for My Brother's Workshop, St. Croix, an organization that many of you know more about than I do, that existed about 9 years ago in the heart and mind of Scott Bradley over in St. Thomas. And the program started in the back of his Jeep on a street corner. And now here we are 8 or 9 years later, and the program has made its way to St. Croix. And I first want to let you know that I've only been a resident of St. Croix for 6 months. I didn't come here with any answers. I didn't come here with a job lined up. I came here, and as a man of faith, I came here because the Lord laid it on my heart to bring my wife and my family here. And this is my home. And I'm grateful that since coming here, that many people have loved on myself, my wife, and our daughters, and that I have been blessed with an opportunity to serve in the community with guys like Tyler and King. So I want to say thank you to those at Juvenile Justice, Ms. Jarvis, and those at YRC, Ms. Hector, and all those in DHS, and Mr. Soames over at the alternative school. I have been welcomed, and I am grateful for that, because I come from a town called Pontiac, Michigan. And you would be surprised about the similarities of Pontiac, Michigan and St. Croix. And I have worked for about 17 years in juvenile as a chaplain. I've worked as an interventionist, a behavioral interventionist in the elementary school. And to come here and to serve with a lot of young men that have felt as if they've been thrown away is an honor and a privilege for me. There's some things that I want to share with you about My Brother's Workshop that I've learned in such a short time. And I've learned that My Brother's Workshop is more than just about hammers and nails and plumbing and electrical. It is really about the heart. I found out that the 8 young men that are in the program currently at this point right now collectively have been locked up for almost 17 years. Whether it is in the foster care system, whether it's in the juvenile system or the adult correction system, 8 young men between the age of 18 and 23 have spent 16 and a half to 17 years right here in our community of St. Croix. And I began to search and look and find out what some of the issues were, or what some of the issues are. And in looking at the issues, a lot of the young men don't have healthy fathers in their lives. A lot of the young men have suffered abandonment. And when you look at what that umbrella really is trauma, hurt, pain, hopelessness. And I found out that these young men, who many of us see as young men who are troubled and who can't find their way, these are young men who I've taken the time and I've injected myself into their lives, and they've given me their hearts and they've trusted me. Some of the key points that my brother's workshop focuses on, and what I've been blessed to do in being trained by Scott and working with him and understanding the program, is that I'm also able to take the foundation of the program and kind of make it creative. And so there's 3 things that I focus on doing with the young men every day: interrupting, intervening, and injecting. It's so important that we recognize that there's a cycle that is set up for these young men in our community and young men all over, especially young men of color. There's a cycle and there's a trap that is set up for them to fail. But I found out that if we have the courage and if we take the time to interrupt that cycle, if we take the time to intervene, and if we take the time and we inject all that we know, all that we have, all that we are into their lives, then they begin to have hope. They begin to experience success. And they want to not only take from the community, but they begin to learn how to give back to the community. And those are the things that I'm seeing every day with the 8 young men that are in our program. And so some of the other things that we work on is I call it the stripes. And talking with the guy, we talk about the Army. And so you have stripes. So we talk about learning how to serve. We talk about the importance of transformation. We talk about the importance of having your hearts revived and renewed. We talk about the importance of really involving ourselves in the community in a positive way. We talk about the importance of if there's no one else that will speak life over you, man, you've got to learn how to proclaim it over your own self. We talk about the importance of education. We talk about the importance of allowing ourselves to be saturated with love. And there's a story. We had a steering committee meeting maybe a month ago, and 3 of the guys were able to speak, and we didn't prepare anything. I just kind of threw them under the bus. And they were able to speak to our steering committee. And the one thing that all 3 of the guys said in common was that when they came into the program and when we connected, the main thing that they learned was that somebody loved them. Can you imagine that? That the main thing that you get is that you know that somebody loves you and cares. And every day when these guys walk in and they hug me and they overtake me with love, all they're looking for me to do is to be consistent and give it back. My brother's workshop is more than just hammers and nails. It is about life transformation. It is about a community investing in every area, your time, your talents, and your treasure. Some of the things that we've been working on are things that may seem odd to you, but these young men that are in the program don't understand what it means to have adult tools, like proper identification. Things that we take for granted as adults because maybe we had someone show us how to apply for a driver's license or how to apply for naturalization papers. And so we've gone to the Bureau of Motor Vehicles, and we couldn't stay there 3 hours, so we just had to do it in segments. So we went and we got the paperwork, and these young men were excited. And we've talked about some of our guys that want to register at U.V.I. And a praise report for me as we talked about it, and then one of my guys showed up the next day with his application half filled out. We have guys that are interested in the military, but they don't have anyone to encourage them and give them direction. We have guys that are interested in owning their own business, buffing floors, building maintenance. We have guys that love to cook. And I'm laying these things out because what I understand about St. Croix is that it doesn't take a village. There is a village already here. I've never seen a community like this before, where all of the pieces are already in place. And sometimes we just need for somebody to put the jumper cables on us. These guys are a part of the community, and they're starting to feel valuable. in the community. These are guys who have hope now. These are guys who are anxious for us to go over to St. Thomas so that they can connect with My Brother's Workshop in St. Thomas. We have an open house planned on April 6th, and I pray that everyone will be there. More information will come, but it is April 6th. These guys are excited to know that some of the senators are going to come see them. These guys are excited to know that people really care about what they think and how they feel. And I know it seems like I'm here preaching, but I can't help it. But my life is enriched because of the 8 guys that God has blessed me to see as my sons. My life is saved every day. Not because they show up on time or they don't, but simply because they show up. I pray that everyone here will either find out more about our group through our Facebook, My Brother's Workshop, St. Croix, that you will come to our open house, that you will call me or contact me if you want to come by and really see what we do. We're working on a project right now where we are learning about mortar and plaster, and we're learning about plumbing and electrical and all those things. But in all of that, the young men are learning how to move from being males to manhood to mentors to mission. We've been visiting elementary schools, and I'm helping these guys to understand the importance of mentoring the next generation. We have plans to do more community projects. And the beauty of it is I don't have to force them to do it. They're forcing me to do it. I'm praying that the elected officials, I'm praying that the community leaders would get behind the bridge where we can receive these guys that are coming out of YRC, that are coming out of Golden Groves, and we can be the bridge, and that you would undergird the bridge so that these young men would have an opportunity, so that we can shut down the revolving door, and so that we can help to give them a hope, the same hope that we have. And so I thank you today, Senator Francis. I thank you, the honorable senators of St. Croix and the Virgin Islands, the leaders and the elected officials, the clergy, the spiritual leaders here. Please continue to support My Brother's Workshop and the efforts of young men like Tyler and King. These are guys that I love tremendously. These are guys that I love tremendously and that show up to work every day. And sometimes all they need to know is that somebody believes in them. And neither one of them have a lot to say, but I just want to let them just say good afternoon to somebody.
Good afternoon. My name is Tyler Eugene. I'm 18 years old. I just came out of doing a sentence of 2 years and 6 months in YC. Really and truly, this program is really helping me because where I was heading was not in a good path. And this program has changed me, and with pastor being around me and just call me or just give me a text in the night to just say, what good, what's up, how you doing today? And that's all, just to keep a smile on my face, just to go to the night. Me and King, we cool every day, man. Smile on my face as long as I see him. We come to work, we do whatever we got to do, and we leave. But we don't want to leave. When we leave work, we still want to catch up with each other. Because it's like, we building a family. we just, like I'm just saying, I'm just talking for the youths, and I would like to just help whoever we could help. And whoever want to support us, thank you.
Afternoon. My name is King John. I'm 19 years old. And me too, I just come out of WRC October from doing 2 years. Good thing in this program right now, and Pastor helping us to like change our mindset, how we used to think and do stuff, because wow. Wow. I mean, yeah, you check. So I just thank all of you here that supporting us and want to see us do the right thing, you know. Yeah, man.
My allergies started acting up a little bit. But this is real life. And I'm grateful that God pulled me out of Pontiac, Michigan, and sent me to a place where I never heard of my brother's workshop, and came here with $1.89 my first week here. And because I shared my heart in this community, one person told another person, and that person said, you need to apply for this job. And exactly 60 days after arriving here, I got a text message that I was unanimously chosen to work with our young men. And every day I'm grateful to God. So I close on that. So I'm grateful to my friend and brother Scott for having the courage to start the program. And I'm grateful for all of you for the love that you extend towards these young men and to me and my family. God bless.
Thank you very much. And I think my allergies are starting to act up as well. But that's the reason why we're here today, ladies and gentlemen. That's the real life story. I see myself. I truly see myself in these young men. They have given up their guns for a hammer. They have given up their guns for a textbook. So I think that that's a good segue for where we go from here. I want to thank the individuals from my brother's workshop, again, Scott Bradley and certainly Mr. Chris Finch, and all the work that they're doing in the community, again, to redivert the energies of these individuals to positive. Like me, I'm sure all of you are moved by the testimony that was just given by these young individuals. I want to thank Dr. Mills for starting the conversation. I truly want to thank each and every one of you for what you do in this community, because I know a lot of times what you do don't make the front pages. What you do, you don't get the scholarships for. You don't get the awards and rewards that you deserve. But let's not be discouraged. I'm hoping to open the dialogue where we can find the solutions, where we could build the bridges that we need to continue to save the young men and young women in this community. Let's not be fooled. For every 3 male in this community that you see here that's going through the struggle, equally, we have a female. Don't be fooled. So again, getting back to the focus and getting back to the topic of the school to prison pipeline and how do we stymie and how do we stop that, I want to introduce the conglomerate of the panel that have been put together here this afternoon. And we have many, many stakeholders at the table. We have expertise behind as well that could speak to some of your experiences. But we allow these individuals to lead the charge and start the conversation. I'd like to call on my vice chair, Senator Kenneth Gittens, to start off the panel discussion and briefly introduce each of the panel here, and then we could certainly begin the dialogue. I also want to certainly recognize Senator Sanes and also give him an opportunity to weigh in because he comes from a segment of the population in terms of the Hispanics as well that are severely challenged by some of the very issue that we spoke about this morning. So collectively, let's have the discussion and then come up with solutions. I've been approached several times this afternoon is where do we go from here? After this, where do we go? And I'm hoping that we could certainly have a response to that conversation by the end of it. At this time, let's recognize Senator Kenneth Gittens.
Thank you and good afternoon to all. To God be the glory indeed. Thank you, Senator Francis and your staff for putting this program together. I am happy that I had a chance to tone down there a little bit because it definitely got emotional. Coming from a law enforcement background and also working in the Youth Investigation Bureau along with Senator Francis. But I'll just say a little bit about myself and then allow the panelists to introduce themselves and give a short background from where you came from to where you're at, and then we'll start the discussions. But I'm a product of the Virgin Islands public school system and a proud product of the Virgin Islands public school system. I joined the Virgin Islands Police Department in 1990 and did 21 years with the police department. While working in the police department, I furthered my education where I did an associate's degree at John Jay College of Criminal Justice in New York, and I followed up with my bachelor's and master's degree in criminal justice administration at Columbia Southern University. I spent the time furthering my education, rose through the ranks to lieutenant, and also being a special assistant to then Police Commissioner Novelle Francis. And we're both here in the Senate serving in the 31st legislature. So that's a bit on me, and what I'll do is I'll just go from my colleague right here to my immediate right, Senator Novelle. Make sure all of them are.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Kurt Valley. I'm a career educator. This is my first term in the Senate. Was a math teacher, assistant principal, principal. I was in administration and education for 23 years. I have a bachelor's degree in math and a master's degree in administration and supervision. I think my capacity here today is more as an educator than a legislator.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is H. Hannibal O'Brien. I'm the Deputy Chief Territorial Public Defender here on the island of St. Croix. My education, well, I have a bachelor's of business administration in econometrics. That just means I'm a statistical mathematician that applies my craft to economics. I attended Baruch College, which is part of the CUNY system, which is part of which John Jay is a part of. And I come from a family of individuals who are in the public sector. I have a brother that's a social worker, and some of you may know my older brother who is was a probation officer. I got a law degree from what's the name of that school? Oh, from Georgetown University School of Law. And when I graduated, I sent my resume exactly one place, to the Public Defender's Office here in St. Croix, and I've been there my entire legal career. My journey started because of an incident that brought a brother of mine to the criminal justice system way back in 1978, 79. I left here thinking that I was going to take 7 years and become an attorney and come back and turn this place out. It turned into 18 years, but I made it back, and I'm happy I made it back. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Gene Ford. I'm a first-time senator in the 31st legislature. I possess an Associates of Arts degree in criminal justice and a Bachelor's of Science degree in social sciences. I grew up on the island of St. Kitts. I am from the Virgin Islands, as I was born in the Virgin Islands, and this is certainly home to me. I am here as a legislator, that is. I am here as a parent. I am here as a concerned citizen. I recognize that we have a problem, and we have got to bring about solutions. So in the course of this discussion, I hope to leave here this afternoon with solutions, practical solutions. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Many of you know me as Senator Terrence Positive Nelson. I am happy to be here. But this afternoon, I sit here in the capacity of my experiences. Sometime around 1992, I had a decision to make about where I wanted to go, what I wanted to be, what I wanted my legacy to be. And I pray God and thanks for Master Thomas Jarrett. He was my martial arts instructor at the time. Got me back into the church, and because of that, I was able to walk away from a situation that could have ended up very bad. I sit here in front of you now as a 6th-term senator, and I'm anxious to share my story because I believe the young people need to know that you don't have to stay bad. And you have the ability to change your game so long as you still have life. So it was touching for me to hear the young men speak because I always reflect on where I could have been, what could have happened to me had I stayed on the road that I was on. So I'm happy to be here to share with you. I think I have a lot to offer because I know it from several ends, from several perspectives. I'm not in any illusion at all. Some of the things you might hear me say, you might not want to hear, but this is as real as it gets. Many of you know me as positive, but I wasn't always positive. God saved me. And I'm grateful, and I've dedicated my life to help young men and young people in general find their way. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Calvin Herbert Jr., currently a chief.
Just speak louder.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me now? My name is Calvin Herbert Jr., currently a chief at the Bureau of Corrections. I started at Corrections in the year 2000, worked my way up to a sergeant in the year 2006, and lieutenant in 2009. In 2012, I was given the opportunity to become a chief, which is my current position. And like many panelists have said, I'm here to hear some of the solutions that we can come up with today. Thanks.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Fernando Webster Jr., not to be mistaken with Fernando Webster Sr. I get that all the time. I'm currently the Territorial Program Coordinator for Youth Services at the Department of Labor. I'm now a St. Thomas resident, but I'm still a Crujan all the time, just to let you know. And as far as my background in education, I got my bachelor's in oh boy, it's a double major. Communications and industrial organizational psychology. I wanted to get into corporate consulting, but my heart and my passion is always the youth of the Virgin Islands. I come from a big family where I have, 9 uncles and 2 aunts, so I always felt that I always had a father figure around me all the time. I noticed a lot of our youth in our community wasn't blessed with the same thing, so I always tried to give back all the time. I'm hoping with this discussion today that we could, look at this pipeline that's the school-to-prison pipeline, and we could reverse it and we'll create alternatives pipelines to success or to careers or to something else. That way we could come up with a systematic format from a government, nonprofit, private sector, community guidelines of how to make sure our youth in the community, in the village that's already established, they flow through and become successful, not only here, but wherever they go. So I'm hoping to gain that today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Delroy Richards. I'm the police commissioner for the U.S. Virgin Islands Police Department. I began my career in 1968 with the police department. When I came to this institution, it was a one-room house on a hill. They used to refer to it as CVI, College of the VI, one room up on a hill. Well, I had a very successful career. Obviously, I worked in basically all the assignments in the police department. I was sergeant, detective, sergeant, lieutenant, deputy chief, chief of police, territorial chief for the territory. And I retired for a while and went into the private sector for about 16 years. But what I'm hearing today is true. It's a reality. I have seen it from both the police perspective, and I've seen it from both the private entity, because I've had a lot of dealings with exactly what they're talking about today within the private sector of this community. And I can tell you that I have looked at the criminal behavior, the criminal stats, as far back as 1992. And when I came back to the department in 2015, when I looked at the statistics, I see basically the same thing. But what changed were the faces. The numbers were practically the same, but the faces obviously was different. We had a more younger group of individuals that we had to deal with, and obviously they were much more bolder, and much more dangerous. So I'm simply saying that I don't believe that we're going to be solving the problem by incarcerating. The basic philosophy of lock up and throw away the key has gotten us nowhere. So we really have to change our mindset, and I believe that with the folks sitting here today, that we all collectively can come up with a plan. And if we do that, I think we'll meet the success that we all want to realize. So thank you.
Thank you. Pastor.
My name is Reginald Perry, pastor of Victorious Believers Ministries here on St. Croix. And just to think about what Ms. Mills, Dr. Mills was saying, I'm from Cook County, Chicago. And I had a brother that just got out of jail, did over 25 years in, and been in the system, can't get a job. I mean, he has a job, but it's menial jobs, making, just, I hate to say bare minimum wages, but it's that way. In 1988, I was driving down the streets of Atlanta, and I stopped by, I've been in church all my life. I stopped by a little church that was having a service, and I never knew, and just sitting in here, but years ago, it dawned on me. I stopped by this church, and no one knew me. I didn't know them, just because the doors were open. And when I walked in, the pastor was up on the microphone preaching. And he stopped in the middle of his service. He said, God just told me, young man, that many lives are going to be saved by your hand in the Virgin Islands. I didn't know anything about the Virgin Islands. But in 1996, when I finished grad school, a job was open and I came here. And so said, so done. Through the ministry, we've seen lives change. We've seen families get back together. We've seen young men not make it to prison, but make it to school. And I'm so glad, Senator Francis, to be a part today that we can ultimately see young men and women lives change and keep them from going through the pipeline.
Good afternoon. My name is Scott Bradley, and I'm the founder and creator of My Brother's Workshop, and along with just a whole army of people that have helped us out over the years. I'm a retired industrial engineer from New England. And if anybody wonders why I retired and moved here, if you're living in Maine, it's not really a question. But you know, in the 35 years that I spent in manufacturing, I design factories, I build factories, I train people. We've always had a piece of that factory was carved out for people coming out of prison, people whose kids dropped out of school. You know, we always had a way for them to find their way in life. And you know, this program is based a lot on, like was mentioned in the video about Homeboy Industries out in California. But a lot of it was based on just taking somebody in, surrounding them with a whole bunch of older, wiser people who will give them advice all day long until they change their ways. And so what we do is nothing new. It all comes down to caring, and it all comes down to being invested. You know, we've been in St. Thomas for 9 years now. We've worked with over 600 kids. We have less than 1% recidivism. We're geared up to double our numbers this year, and we've been growing about 50% a year. And now we're working with our St. Croix family, and we expect to have the same success here. So, you know, it's simple, it works, it's about caring, it's about being involved, so.
Good afternoon. I'm Dee Brown, and I work with the Community Foundation of the Virgin Islands. Moved to the Virgin Islands right before Hurricane Marilyn, and after Hurricane Marilyn decided this is really home. Nothing like a hurricane to make everybody pull together as a community. The foundation is known in large part for our beginning work with the Kids Count report, which talks about the status of children and families in the Virgin Islands, and we've been doing that report now for 15 years. But I've been really excited about today's meeting, in part because it brought me to a moment to think before coming today about just how many optimistic things and programs there are happening now in our Virgin Islands. I've been working now with the not-for-profits for 20 years, with donors for that amount of time as well. And I believe that at this point in time, we're not starting from scratch. What we're doing is we're sharing information about some very exciting work that's happening, work that we can increase, work that we can make more efficient, work that we can make more effective, but there are some very, very important good things happening in our community that this group today, I think, can really move forward. So I'm happy to be here.
Good afternoon, I'm Chris Finch. I moved to the Virgin Islands in 1978 for 6 months to 2 years. Should be up soon. And educationally, I have a bachelor's in social work. I have a master's in public administration. I've worked here, I worked for Lutheran Social Services of the Virgin Islands for 23 years, was executive director for the last 15 of that. Was Commissioner of Department of Human Services for 8 years. Both of those are jobs that I loved very much. Now my wife and I have a small consulting business. About a year ago now, Scott Bradley, with some money from the legislature, called together a meeting of some of the people he knew on St. Croix to discuss whether people would be interested in forming My Brother's Workshop over here. And I had been watching that program for the 8 years, having success with young people that nobody else was having. And so was very much a fan of it. So I went to the meeting just to see if I could help at all. At the end of the meeting, where people agreed that, yes, resoundingly, we wanted My Brother's Workshop in St. Croix, Scott said, we need a volunteer to chair this. And someone yelled from the back of the room, Chris is unemployed. So I have been chairing it since then, and happy to do that.
Good afternoon. My name is Linnea Hector. I am born and raised on the island of St. Croix, and I am a product of the public school system. I have a bachelor's degree in psychology from Morgan State University and an education specialist degree from the University of the Virgin Islands right here in St. Croix. I am currently employed with the Department of Human Services. I have various experience in my field. I worked in Maryland with John Hopkins for a brief period of time and a homeless shelter. When I returned home in 1991, I started at the Village, working with women and children who are substance abusers trying to get their lives together. In 94, I started at the Youth Rehab Center. In 98, I moved on to the Bureau of Correction. And in 2007, I started working with the food stamp program. 2013, I'm back at the Youth Rehab Center. I'm here today as a Christian because I take my role as a Christian very seriously in looking out for my brothers. I believe in being my brother's keeper. Every job that I have held so far in my career has been about helping my fellow man, woman, and child in my community. So I am pleased to be here to offer my experience and my input in this symposium today.
Good afternoon. My name is Deanna James. I'm Executive Director at the St. Croix Foundation. Sitting here reflecting on my 13 years of service at the foundation, and when I started, I worked very closely with Novelle Francis at the police department on a community integration team, and stepped off of that commission because I felt we were dealing with the tail end of the problem and not dealing with how to prevent some of the challenges we were seeing our young people face, and started a long odyssey in supporting our public education system. I feel like today's conversation is, I've been waiting for it for 10 years. We made a very critical decision 10 years ago when we started our work in public education to focus on our middle school population, recognizing that that's where the greatest risk we were seeing our young people facing in terms of dropping out. And we felt very alone for a long time in that work that we did. We embedded ourselves in Elena Christian Junior High School and learned some very fundamental lessons about how to support our young people. And we have identified in very recent years 2 very important priorities for us as an organization, and that is literacy, which is interesting that we were talking about that. We were focused on literacy when we started at Elena Christian. We believe even more so now that it is at the crux of the issues we're talking about today. We also feel that in terms of systemic change, that we have to focus on the teacher and who's standing in front of those young people every single day. And so we are having some of the deepest conversations we've had with U.V.I. and other education stakeholders about the creation, development of a teaching laboratory where we are testing best practices and embedding best practices in our classrooms. And then the second piece is workforce development. And for me personally, having worked in the middle schools for as many years as we did, I had this naive belief that when they left their junior high school, that there were 4 years worth of safety nets for our young people. And when we started working with the Department of Labor several years ago on a workforce development initiative, and I saw many of the young people that I had seen in Elena Christian now out of school, half of them had diplomas, and I was confused at how they received those diplomas because they were absolutely unprepared for the workforce. And so I'm really, really honored to be here today and hope that we can begin talking about solutions. And I think we've got a really great sense of the depth of the challenges and the problems. And I think that this is an exciting time to talk about innovative solutions to address these issues.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Franz Christian. I'm the LEPC director. And I'm getting an opportunity to see it from two sides. First of all, I know we're looking for solutions. Solutions we must. When I was growing up, the solution was my mom. And I think many of us who probably is around my age can say that your parents was the solution, because my mom didn't stand for nonsense. I'm a product of the Catholic school system, graduating from St. Joseph School, followed my education at the College of the Virgin Islands. I joined the police department and worked my way up from police officer and touched every classified and unclassified rank in the police department. Ended up being a police commissioner. Today I'm the LEPC director. From the police department standpoint, I saw a lot of the problems that we're discussing here today. Youths needing problem, youths being neglected, youths getting into criminal problems. Today, as the LEPC director, I'm wearing a different hat, where I'm assisting some of these organizations that are sitting here in giving them federal funds, administer federal funds to deal with some of these situations that we are confronted today. I thank Senator Francis and the other members of this legislature for putting together this forum, this conference. And I think that when we leave from here today, that we'll find ourselves in a better situation to deal with the many problems that we are seeing confronting us today in the Virgin Islands or in the territory. Thank you.
Pleasant good afternoon to everyone. My name is Joseph Pontine, and as they say, I hail from the volcano-stricken island of Montserrat. I came here with my parents in 1964 to St. Croix and basically never left. I attended the Adventist school when it was one room on a hill, and also the St. Dunstan's Episcopal High School. Education-wise, I have a bachelor's degree in business, a master's degree in business, and a law degree. I've worked, I'm always supposed to keep the mic up. I'm so used to being in court and just shouting. I've worked in this community. I worked as a senior budget analyst. And of course, there was no budget office on St. Croix, so I had to move to St. Thomas, didn't like it, came back here. I also worked here when this was the College of the Virgin Islands, and then to the University of the Virgin Islands, and I taught here for 10 years. One of the panelists just reminded me today, I was your student, don't you remember when? And I guess I have so much gray hair, I didn't even remember that he was my student. I served as a territorial public defender, as does my colleague over here. And I also served as an assistant attorney general. And today, I'm here as the chief deputy assistant attorney general, chief deputy AG. My boss is Claude Earl Walker, and as some of the senators call him, he is Ranger the Walker, but as I know him, he's my boss, he signs my paycheck. Now, while serving as an assistant attorney general, I also worked briefly as the acting director of the Bureau of Corrections. So I've been around, and you've already know, according to Dr. Mills, who just left, oh, she's right over there, that I guess in my capacity as AG, we had the highest incarceration rate in the Caribbean and maybe the world. And I will have a lot to say about that as to why you think that I should wear that label. Thank you.
All right, good afternoon. Okay, I am not Dr. McCullum. Dr. McCullum really wanted to be here. Unfortunately, she already had an arrangement. Actually, the New Orleans school system had invited her months ago to come and tour their schools and kind of look at it as a model as we look to infrastructure and building schools. And so she already committed there, so she was not able to come today. But I am here on behalf of the department. My name is Vincent Hudson. I'm the chief legal counsel. This issue was near and dear to me for several reasons. As a student had a learning disability, as a student that was kicked out of school in kindergarten, I know it does happen, it can happen. People are probably wondering what I did. I don't remember. But, and also as a former educator, this is, like I said, a near and dear issue to me. Also, people might wonder, why is this important to me? Why is it in the VI? My whole family is from here in the VI, and this is something I have a vested interest in. We all have a vested interest in seeing how we can create solutions. And if nothing else happens today, I think our main goal, because we have a lot of people, you have a bunch of attorneys that are up here too, and they like to talk. We like to talk. But we need to move past that. We need to start identifying some steps, some solutions, collaborating. And so with that, I'm not going to say anything else, and I'm looking forward to contributing from the perspective of the Department of Education.
Thank you. Is Hannibal O'Brien your attorney? Is he your attorney? I thought he told you to say that you don't recall. All right, as we move forward, and we know that we'll be, before we open, ask some questions to the panelists, let me allow our Senate Majority Leader to come up and give a quick remarks, and then we'll go straight into the panel. Senator Sanis.
Thank you. It is indeed a pleasure to be here. Just real quick, I grew up here, right up the hill, Machu Island, Clifton Hill. So I do know the challenge of growing up in a pretty rough neighborhood. I am a product of Central High, like many of my counterparts here, class of, I'm not going to say, it's been a while. But the one thing that I'm proud of in terms of speaking here is that I am a second generation U.V.I. graduate. My mother graduated from, what do you call it, the little house up in the road? She graduated from CVI and I graduated from U.V.I. But I am extremely glad to be here because before I became a senator, I worked for many years with the Department of Children and Families, state of Florida. And I also work for an agency here, a 24-hour center dealing with children that had behavioral, emotional, and psychological problems. And it's very unfortunate that we had a large amount of those individuals in that center that didn't make it because the system failed them. And I am a witness to that. I am a witness to seeing children going in the system, and at one point or the other, they just get cut off, and all of a sudden, they're deemed adults, and they're their own. So for many years, when I pick up the newspaper, I saw many of my former clients, unfortunately, being arrested at the age of 21 or 22 because the system failed them. So I am glad to be part of this panel. I am glad to be a representative of the Hispanic side because that there too lays a huge problem that we're not addressing. There too lays a problem that unfortunately we are not really geared towards helping. And I'm going to explain to you why real quick. The unfortunate part about it is that we had at one point a generation of parents, Hispanic parents, who for one reason or the other couldn't take care of the children, so they give them back to their grandparents. The grandparents, being from different countries, Hispanic countries, really didn't know how to speak English, and we had children that really didn't know how to speak Spanish, even though they were from Hispanic parents. So right there and then, we had a language barrier. And I can tell you this, because I saw many in my neighborhood, smart, talented, young individuals that because of the language barrier, they fail. They fail in school, and they fail in society. So I am glad to be a part of this panel. I want to thank Senator Francis and his staff for putting it together. I want to thank Dr. Mills for that awesome presentation you did this morning. And also, too, Dr. Mills for embarrassing me, because when you told us to go into our smartphone, it took me forever and a day just to get there, and I pressed a button, and all of a sudden I'm out. So yeah, thank you for showing that I'm technologically challenged. So I have to have a smartphone? No comments. Thank you again, and God bless.
Thank you. That was Senator Sanders, our Senate Majority Leader. Now we'll hear from another colleague that's also an educator, a U.V.I professor, and a former member of the Board of Education, Senator Tregenza Roach.
Good afternoon, everyone. Actually, I wasn't a member of the board, so just a correction. I worked for the board. I was the executive director. And I just wanted to echo a sentiment that my brother's workshop director for St. Croix said. Because often we approach these problems as if we're at the beginning. And we have so many examples of things we do or things we have done that have worked. And we've abandoned them for a variety of reasons, like no funding. That's a big one, right? And one example that I would like to share, because Sarah Burke, she was sitting right there, but she left. About 5 years ago, the Department of Education and the university collaborated, and they started a program called Junior University. And we picked boys from the 7th grade who were in danger of repeating the 7th grade. And we got them to the university for a 5-week program at the end of the school year. For Monday and Tuesday, we did classes in math, reading, writing, and then there was a course called Brainology, where we taught them how the brain functions, how the brain develops, why nutrition, rest, exercise, why these are things that are important to their development. So we did that Monday, Tuesday. Wednesdays, we had field trips, and we repeated the same thing Thursday, Friday. By the time we finished the program, these children did not want to leave the university. And I say this is an important year because many of them will be coming out of the 12th grade this year. Last year, the program was suspended. I don't know what's going to happen this year, but that was one clear example on both the St. Thomas, St. John, and the St. Croix district of a program that worked. And from my recollection, required not a whole lot of money, but professors from U.V.I in psychology, chemistry, reading, mathematics, collaborated and framed this program. It's something that you can just pick right back up again and do again, in fact, expand to include more children. So I just want to offer that in the spirit of the remarks of the previous speaker, one of the previous speakers, that we should really not think of ourselves always as at the beginning. And we need to examine the programs that we've had, that we've utilized, why they have worked, and how we can improve them. And if money is the issue, think about how we're going to address that. Thank you very much, and thank you to the organizers.
Thank you, Senator Roach. So what we'll do is the first question will go to all the panelists, and you'll have 30 seconds to give a response. And the young man right here in the green t-shirt, long sleeve shirt, those of you on this side, he'll probably just switch over when it gets to this side so you can see when he just raises his hand, and then you know that you got 5 seconds to wrap it up about then, all right? And then we'll move to the other question where we'll ask, we'll call the panelists by name. We'll give you the question. We'll allow some others in the audience to give a response if they may, and we'll just start the dialogue. But we'll start from Pastor Perry, and we'll work our way down to Police Commissioner Richards. And the first question is, and I'll give you 10 seconds to just think about it and then respond. From your professional standpoint, how do you see yourself and your entity helping to break the cycle of this school to prison pipeline?
Well, one of the things we can do as a church, we have quite a number of young people that go to the church, and we have educators there